Your Detroit Tigers will not go 0-162. They pick up their first win of the 2025 season. Jackson Jobe makes his first major league start. We have so much to talk about in this Victory Tuesday, all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Welcome in, welcome all. I'm still sick, if you can't tell. So apologies if, again, weird voice or I'm sniffly or whatever. Promise won't last forever. At least I hope not. It is a little after 1 a.m. Eastern time. I am sick as a dog, and yet I'm absolutely amped. We are pumped. Good vibes only. It doesn't matter because the Detroit Tigers have won a baseball game. They win by a score of 9-6 over the Seattle Mariners in Seattle. They put up a 6-run first inning. And I'm going to kind of cheat here. You know, we're starting with our first thought after the game. How is it not just excitement to get a win on the board? You know, like if this was a July victory, I'd have some like that was probably closer than it should have been based on how much they dominated or, this, that, and the third. Like this is just, I'm just glad they got a win under their belt. It was also really kind of poetic that literally the first inning, they played someone that wasn't the Dodgers. They put up a 6 spot. That was kind of humorous to me. Now, obviously, the pendulum swings back the other way as well, right? Like, for as much as I was saying after the Dodgers series, like, hey, the sky is not falling. Not every team you play is going to be the Dodgers. These were close competitive games, etc. You're not going to put up 6 in the first every night out either. And you are going to get I don't know if a rude awakening is the correct phrase I'm really going for, but like you face Logan Gilbert on Tuesday, and that's one of the best pitchers this sport has to offer. So it's going to be a much tougher task and taller task to put up this level of run production again. But for now, we're just happy to get a win on the board. Let's talk about what went right. We get to start off with the positives because the Tigers brought home a victory. How is it not the offense? I mean, my goodness. Like I said, 6-run first inning, 9 runs in the game, which I really like because we saw a few times over the last several years. We have seen this team, explode for run production in 1 inning and then kind of just put up zeros the rest of the game. And so to continue to apply pressure, to not let up, and especially when that big explosion of runs comes in the first inning, you need to make sure that those are not the only runs you score all game. If you give a major league team, the major league team across from you, if you give any major league team for that matter, a bar, an expectation of like, hey, you just got to get to this run total. Like they're talented rosters, right? These are professionals. And a lot of times they're going to be able to do that. And case in point, the Mariners still did put up 6 runs. Now, obviously at the end of the game, the Tigers weren't throwing out their A+ bullpen and the game would have been managed far differently had it been a closer game. But the point remains, like the Mariners were never really like completely out of it. They were down 5 runs, 4 runs, whatever. We'll talk about Jobe a little bit later in his first major league start. So this was a really, really nice and just reassuring offensive performance that went beyond just rocking the other starting pitcher, right? Going up against some of the relievers the Mariners have and being able to put up runs in those innings as well. 18 hits, 4 walks. Tigers had 22 base runners. That's fantastic. And, I have on my, notes and on my show sheet here, like pretty much every single player on the team's name, right? Like talking about like, oh, like who are we going to focus on? Like who specifically is going to find themselves in the what went right category? Well, just about everyone that touched a baseball bat in this game. I guess the only omission is really Zach McKinstry. Pretty much everyone else was fantastic in some way, shape, and form at the plate in this one. Justyn-Henry Malloy, who gets recalled from AAA for this game. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But he goes 2 for 4 with 2 walks. A double, a single, and 2 walks in his first Major League game of 2025. Fantastic. The Tigers broadcast and social media account was talking about how he got the call up at like 1:30 in the morning and then had to get on a plane and head to Seattle, obviously. And then not only that, was in the lineup, and not only that, was leading off the game. Literally was leading off and started the game off with a double the opposite way, kind of like right center field gap. Fantastic piece of hitting. He had great at-bats all night. He has the potential to be a really, really professional hitter. And we'll see how he looks over the coming, over the next 10 days at least, but over the coming days and weeks. And we'll see if that, spring training hot streak has translated into a really good regular season hitter. But this was a fantastic start. And he doesn't expand the zone ever. And unlike last year, now this year, he is hitting more consistently what is in the zone. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that's a pretty darn tough at bat for a pitcher when you do both of those two things. Gary Carpenter goes 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. The Tigers scored a run 2 batters into the ballgame. Malloy double, Carpenter single, boom, boom. There you go. Tigers are up 1-0. Riley Green hits a solo homer. It should have been a 2-run homer. Gary Carpenter, really bad base running mistake there. Tries to just catch the pitcher. We thought he timed him up. They clearly had on the stopwatch, like, hey, this dude has started his delivery at the exact same second mark every single time, so far this game. So we're going to try to catch him off guard. And clearly he waited a little bit longer that time and he was hung out to dry. So it should have been a 2-run homer, but regardless, we'll take the solo shot opposite field. Fantastic piece of hitting there. Spencer Torkelson stays hot, goes 2 for 5 in this ball game. One of them was kind of like a cheapy little infield single, but he still just looks so locked in. And the only real, if there was like a complaint from this game, he got a lot of hanging sliders down the middle. But in that count, I think he was just trying to foul off all of the off speed and wait until he got a fastball again. And it just never came. So he ended up, I don't remember. I think that was the ground out. But either way, I think his at-bats are just so competitive and so solid, and will take another great performance. He looks like a completely different hitter up there at the plate. The big story from the offense, though, because I have been ripping on him like no other, is Colt Keith, who I feel so good for, and I am so happy for, and had such a great day. All right, we're going to talk about that and more right after this. I'm going to talk to you today about our friends over at FanDuel. March Madness. What a tournament it has been. We're chalk, ladies and gentlemen. We are 4 number 1 seeds for the first time in a long time. And FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who is cutting down the net. Look, I had my eyes on a few underdogs early in the tournament. That clearly is not how the tournament unfolded. But now you're going to see some really good basketball. You're going to see the teams that were voted the 4 best basketball teams in the country all playing for the title. And it is so easy to back your pick with spreads, totals, and game props. Tournament action is happening all the time. for the first half of April here. There's always something exciting to bet on, and the FanDuel app is really easy to use. When I win, I get paid instantly. There's no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com and you get in on all the college hoops action all tournament long. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow talking about Game 2 of this Mariners series and hopefully recapping another victory. Today, we talk about this 9-6 victory in Seattle on Monday night. However, some West Coast baseball, and the offense exploded. Everyone was getting in on the action, but Colt Keith finally has a really good day. I'll tell you what, when he was standing on second base after he got his double, legitimately, it almost looked like you could see like a ton of dumbbells being lifted off of his shoulders. Like he literally looked lighter. He, smiled into the dugout, did the new, hit celebration thing that I think looks kind of cool. But like you could just see the relief on his face, and really you could just see his whole body kind of relax a little bit. And then in his next at bat, he took a ball the opposite way, lifted it in the air, and had a really nice piece of hitting. Splitter low went away, lifted it over the third baseman's head, had a nice line drive single there. But the best part of it was, aside from him just being relieved, the best piece of hitting and the most encouraging sign was easily the fact that he had a fastball down the middle and pulled it in the air for a double. Now, it was almost not a double. Heck of a throw by right field there, made it a pretty close play at second base, but I don't even care about that. In that moment, I was just thrilled that this dude got something over 90 miles an hour and was on time and smacked it. Really, really good. Because if he is already making adjustments and is going to look a lot better from here on out, you're talking about a great problem on your hands, right? You're talking about a lineup that then really wants to include Torkelson, Carpenter, Malloy, Keith, and when he's healthy again, Gleyber Torres, all at the same time, and you have to figure out a way to do that. That is the best problem ever to have. We dream of having too many hitters to fit into the lineup. That's what dreams are made of, folks. Okay, we used to pray for times like that, and they haven't come yet. This offense still has a very long way to go. I'm not saying that's what this offense is. But he still needs to prove it a lot more than just one game against a really bad pitcher. I shouldn't say a really bad pitcher. One game against a pitcher that struggled in this outing, rather. But he was really on time and all over it. Had 2 walks in this game as well. I was really, really pleased with how Colt Keith looked in this one. Trey Sweeney and Javy Baez at the bottom of the lineup combined for 6 hits between the two of them. 6 hits and 3 RBIs between Sweeney and Baez. Both of them go 3 for 5. Fantastic, man. And like Sweeney, one of his was like a broken bat blooper. So like whatever. But the hard hit ground ball to the right side gets through the infield. Will gladly take that. Javy smokes a ball into left field. Smokes it. Now, the second one of the hits was, a little blooper that should have been caught. But, we'll take it. Javy's batting .333. Stop. Just stop. Take a picture. Never forget this moment. Okay? Javy Baez batting .333 in 2025. No, but seriously, it was at least nice to see. And, he grounded into a double play. And, he's not going to be productive at the plate. And he should be hitting 8 or 9 pretty much every single time the lineup is announced. But if it is just nice to see the bottom of the lineup card capable of producing this early in the season. It's a beautiful thing. And something we haven't really seen too much of yet. Want to give Dillon Dingler a lot of credit, too. 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs in this ballgame. He has gotten off to a fantastic start this season, is really swinging a hot stick. I think that is just awesome to get offensive production from your catcher, but I think also the future of how catcher is managed depends a lot on how both of these catchers hit. And Dingler was a guy that struggled mightily last year, but if this is, him on time and acclimated and adjusted to major league pitching, you're talking about a guy that could be a really valuable asset given how good he is already defensively. So really liked the game from him. Thought he called a good game, handled, the Jobe, not technically debut, but like Jobe's first start really well behind the plate too. Was really, really impressed with everything Dingler did in this outing. Let's talk about what went wrong. It's not a very long list, despite the fact that this game did end up being just a 3-run game. But the Tigers were pretty comfortably in charge and in command for 9 innings. Zach McKinstry had a play in right field where the ball was in his glove and then bounced out and then got stuck under like the cushioning. I don't blame McKinstry. I'm not saying that like what went wrong, Zach McKinstry sucks at defense. That's definitely not what I'm saying. He's one of the more valuable defenders on the team. That being said, that play just blows because he, is losing the ball. Shut up the fan. We need to find out this dude's like name or something and give him, I don't know, free tickets to a game, something. Like something needs to happen with that guy. Points to McKinstry, Tigers fan, points to McKinstry and goes, hey, it's under the wall, it's under the cushion. And then McKinstry, throws his hands up, tries to get the ground rule double, doesn't get it. I think it was Julio Rodriguez is running the bases, ends up on third. Like that's just, I felt really bad for Brennan Hanafy because that's a run to his name that I don't think should have, like that probably should have just been an out, and it certainly shouldn't have led to a run. I thought he looked really solid in this one, but so that kind of sucked a little bit. The other thing that honestly, the only thing in this game that really frustrated me was the Brant Herter home run in the 9th inning, because that made it a 3-run game. And it was just like, all right, dude, like we have been clearly the better team for 9 innings. Like, can we just close the door here and not play with our food and screw around here? Like this is now for to use it in basketball terms, like this is a 1-possession game now, right? Like this is something that in theory, one swing of the bat could have the Mariners tied or even take a lead. So like that, let's sharpen that up. But in the same breath, Herter did also provide the bullpen a lot of took the weight off of their shoulders by going 3 innings. So I'm not, again, like saying that he's awful or anything. Brant Herter was fantastic last year and had a really solid spring. But I like that home run just can't happen. Like that's something you got to tighten up and not allow the Mariners to even think that they have a chance of doing anything in this ball game. Really, as a whole, I think the bullpen's command was kind of like meh. It was kind of a mid showing from the pen in this one. They don't, they're responsible for 3 runs against in 5 innings. Like that's not the worst thing in the world. But I just thought the command specifically was not very great. Even though like Holton leaves this game with no runs period against. Like his command was all over the place, walking lefties. Like that just can't happen. You got to attack guys. And like, it's early in the year. I'm just bringing up what went wrong in the game. I'm not saying anything's like, I'm terrified that, Tyler Holton sucks all of a sudden or like anything like that. Just objectively stating what could have been better in this ball game. Talking about what could have been better in this ball game, Jackson Jobe made the first start of his major league career in this one, and it could have gone better. I think that's probably fair to say, but I also don't even technically have it in what went wrong. Now, we're really splitting hairs here, okay? These are like subjective categories that I made up a couple of years ago and don't actually mean anything. So, like, if you are listening and you're like, all right, like, let's take the training wheels off, like, he deserves to be in what went wrong, then sure. I have no issue with that. I'm not really, like, hard set on, what category, this performance specifically has to be in. I'm kind of fine riding the line or going either way there. I have it in stuff because it was a debut and the Tigers still won. Ultimately, he did enough for them to get a win. 3 earned runs is not the end of the world, and we still saw some good despite the struggles as well. Let's break down Jackson Jobe's first Major League start. We will do all of that right after this. Got to talk to you today about our friends over at SupplyHouse.com. Get the supplies you need from the site that is made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. Whether into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros that are looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. So join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off of your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, let's talk Jackson Jobe. Buried the lead a little bit here. All right. I think that's still the lead. Despite the offensive outburst in this ball game, I think Jackson Jobe, first Major League start, is probably still fairly the lead in this ball game. Goes 4 innings, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 home runs against, almost 3 home runs against. There was a ball that was hit about 900 feet in the first inning and just went foul. So I have a lot of thoughts after this outing, and pretty much all of them are positive. Again, not the prettiest line in the world, but the thing that makes this makes me so optimistic about him is that everything you saw in this outing that he struggled with is like extremely fixable, and he will get better at. This is one outing, man. Like Tarek Skubal gave up like a ton of home runs his rookie year, right? Like it's one of the highest numbers in the American League, if I remember right, in his first full season at the major league level. Like it takes time. Like this is his first start, literally number 1, and he has some of the best stuff you will literally ever see. The swing and miss was apparent, and he ended with double-digit whiffs in just 4 innings, which is a really solid start to the career there. I think the moment that I liked the most in this outing was the second pitch that he threw. So he throws a first pitch 97-mile-an-hour fastball that I thought was a strike. Like it was dotted low and away and was called a ball. Jackson Jobe gets the ball back. He smirks, laughs a little bit, and then throws a slider that is literally like 2 to 3 feet outside of the zone, and he gets a swing and miss on it. Like it was not even in the same zip code as the strike zone. And yet it was a 1-1 count because of that pitch and not the one that I think caught the black of the strike zone. So that is just a testament to how good his stuff is. So watching this game, another thing that made me take some of the results with a grain of salt was Seattle was very, very, very clearly sitting fastball. And I don't say that just because he didn't end the outing with a ton of swings and misses on fastball. I'm saying that because, like, watch the outing. It is so blatantly apparent that they are not swinging at anything that's not a fastball pretty much the first time through the lineup. And every fastball he threw, they were all over. And so I think that he then made some adjustments and threw a little bit more secondary stuff the second time through the lineup. And then Seattle had to adjust a little bit. Now, Seattle's adjustment was not to automatically go hacking at every changeup and slider or cutter, whatever you want to call it. that he threw, their adjustment was we are just not going to swing and until really he throws a fastball over the heart of the plate because he will eventually. And that led to be true more times than it should have. And so that is part of the development process here for him, is like his stuff is so good. And this is something that we talked about on this show. I remember when he was in like double A. And we were breaking down his outings on a Tigers off day. Maybe it was like the All-Star break, not important. And like one of the things we brought up then, and I'll bring up again now, is like his stuff moves legitimately so much that it's almost hard to control. And so that is just something that he will have to work on. And like he has made that adjustment before, right? He went through a stretch in the minor leagues at one point where he like barely walked anybody across 5 or 6 starts, and everybody was talking about it, right? And like minor league pitching is not major league pitching. I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying that this is something that, again, with more experience, he will make adjustments. And I think you see the upside so blatantly. You understand why in an organization and in a rotation that should be strong either way, they are willing to give him a spot so that he can develop and work through all of the bumps that come through the development, because they know that they don't have to rely on him to be, you know, a Cy Young candidate immediately or like the savior of the organization right away. They can go, okay, you got roughed up. Well, guess what? Tomorrow we have Casey Mize, who's looked a lot better. And then we have Tarek Skubal going in game 3, dude. Like it's okay. And so I really appreciate that about kind of the setup that the rotation has right now. He really, ultimately, this outing just came down to he could not throw his secondary pitches in the strike zone. And in the minor leagues, that worked because he was able to just get people to chase and get swings and misses off of them. Major league hitters are smarter and better than that. So if they notice that nothing besides a fastball is in the strike zone, they're just going to spit on everything. That's not a fastball. And that's exactly what happened. And so they let him kind of wear himself out and work the count. And then he still got a lot of hitters off balance, but guys were just kind of waiting on the fastball to come around, a fastball for a strike to come around eventually. And a couple of them got it and hit him, you know, crushed him. So I like the stuff, and it's impossible not to. I have really no issue with this outing. And thankfully, he had a 6-run lead before he even stepped on the mound. Fastball command needs to be better too. I think that that's a thing where if he was truly painting, even if they were sitting fastball, like 99 on the black is going to be hard to square up. His fastball was over the heart of the plate a lot, but the cutter was unbelievable. It's kind of ridiculous to me to even call that thing a cutter. Like, are we serious? That like is a slider for all intensive purposes, but it's not. It's you know, technically a cutter. The changeup was fantastic. Had no problem throwing it righty, which I like. Slider, curveball, sweeper, whatever the heck the other thing is, was great too. Fine first outing, man. I'm really not losing sleep about it. Torkelson's defense, I thought, was really solid at first base outside of the throw that he sent to, you know, left field. Justyn-Henry Malloy, as we talked about earlier, is back. This is stuff, by the way, if that wasn't clear. We are in the stuff category. Gleyber Torres to the 10-day injured list. He was in the dugout laughing, joking around, took some warm-ups. I really am like not worried about that being a long-term thing. I think it probably is just going to be 10 days retroactive to the last game he played as well. So we're already down a few of those days at this point too. I don't think this will be a big deal at all. The big decision is going to be if Malloy rakes, do you send him back down after? And that's going to be a decision that the Tigers have to make when Gleyber is healthy again. But for now, they're probably just going to go Malloy, Torkelson, first base, DH, some combination of those two, playing those two positions, and then Colt Keith will move back to second. Mentioned earlier, I thought Brant Herter going multiple innings was really, really important, despite the fact that I was frustrated at the home run. Also want to point out the lineup card, the right-handed pitching lineup card with Javy and Trey Sweeney in it, I think is worth noting. You had McKinstry get a start but play corner outfield. Riley Green start and play the full game in center, right? So like Hinch was just trying to find creative ways to get as many lefties into that lineup card as possible. And Javy played third. I thought he looked fantastic defensively at third base. Made a lot of really solid plays. I thought he was stellar. Like noticeably really, really good defensively. And obviously had a 3-hit night on offense as well. So we'll gladly take that. Tonight you have Logan Gilbert. He has one start under his belt on the season. It was a fantastic, I think he went 7 innings against, well, I almost said Oakland, against the Athletics, who apparently are not tied to any place. So he's really, really good, man. Like, this is one of the best young pitchers the sport has to offer. He's fantastic. He was fantastic last year. He's going to be fantastic this year. He's got great stuff. He's got an incredible fastball that's very hard to hit. I am very, very curious about how the Tigers offense looks against Logan Gilbert. The Tigers will throw out Casey Mize. We're going to see this new revamped Casey Mize that we saw in spring training for the first time in 2025 against the Mariners lineup that has struggled this year, but did just put up 6 runs on you. So that is, worth noting. And obviously their struggles offensively last year were very well documented by the national media. But yeah, man, like, you're in a position now where you're in the driver's seat. You just got to split one of the next 2, and one of those 2 Tarek Skubal starts in. So like you're very much in the driver's seat here for the rest of this series. If you can, mess around and win on Tuesday, you're talking about sweep potential with arguably the best pitcher in baseball going in Game 3. Awesome. Only other thing was just, I thought it was really funny. I want to know who in the clubhouse got Kerry Carpenter to literally put an entire bag, it looked like, of seeds in his cheek and then go and play left field. That was hilarious. If they blew the lead, it would have been a lot less funny, but they didn't, so it's hilarious. He, like, literally giant ball of seeds just in his cheek. I'm curious how that came about, but it was a funny anecdote there in the 9th inning. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow. After making us your first listen, make Locked On Fantasy Baseball your second listen. Dominic Martino and Matthew O'Neill help you get through your fantasy baseball season. I know they help me a ton. Also, shout out to Jake Riepma over at the Locked On Tigers postcast. If you are new to the show over the offseason, Jake does a fantastic job, does post-game live. So you can hop into the comment section. You can, chat with him. He'll answer some questions or read some comments on air that he likes and he thinks are relevant to the game that just happened. But immediately following games, he does it for the Pistons and for the Lions as well. So go give Jake some love there. And yeah, it's just all on this channel now. So you'll be able to see it if you're looking on YouTube there. Okay, enough plugging. Let's get you on with your Tuesday. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers. That's a win, baby.